Welcome back. Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Wednesday, February 11th. It is 8:01 on the East Coast. Novo Nordisk launching the first ever GLP-1 pill for obesity in the United States, marking a major shift from weekly injections to a daily oral option. Now the company is suing Hims and Hers, accusing the telehealth firm of making and promoting unapproved copycat versions of the Wegovy pill and its injections. The legal fight escalating as Novo warned compounded GLP-1 products could put patient safety at risk. The lawsuit coming even after Hims and Hers scrapped plans to sell a knockoff version following legal threats from Novo and from the FDA. Joining me now, the boss at Novo Nordisk, President and CEO Mike Doustdar, joining me right now. Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
This is so important because this drug, the injections, are increasingly being used by more and more people in the country and the world. Tell us what's going on with this lawsuit.
Well, for a long time, actually, now we have been saying that when you go and try to source raw materials from China or unknown sources, put it in an injection and sell knockoff medication, there is something wrong with this. It started with the shortage that we basically had on the GLP-1 products in this country. They used the opportunity and they came in. Compounding is supposed to be for few individuals that have, let's say, allergic reactions to the real medicine. But this mass compounding, it's quite unbelievable that it has gotten to this point. From the very beginning, we had filed many lawsuits against these compounders. And I think the nail in the coffin, as they say, was when they completely made a new drug, the pill, a compounded version of it, and basically tried to introduce that to the market some days ago, where we just felt like this is enough. And I'm very much welcoming the administration's response, the FDA's response on this front, because this is not only unsafe for the patients, but it also undermines the process of the FDA and the whole IP system, the intellectual property system that is around pharmaceuticals.
Well, this is a very important point because these drugs have become so widely used, and we need to understand the safety around it. And if you're raising the red flag about, look, knockoff drugs could not be as safe as what you're doing, people need to understand that.
Absolutely. And Maria, if I just may add, if you go back a year ago, I would have understood the situation from a patient's point of view a bit more, because of course they could not maybe afford the original product. So unfortunately they had no chance and no choice but some of them to go after the compounded version of these at reasonable prices. Today, the price points between the original and the compounded product is very similar, if not the same. So there is no reason why even patients should go in that direction anymore.
Well, this is also important because it muddies the waters in terms of where the safety is. Look, you had a very strong launch of the pill as opposed to the injection. Tell us about that. How strong a launch would you expect in terms of sustaining that strength as for a pill?
It's super exciting times, because as much as you were elaborating on the GLP-1 market and what it has done so far, there was a very large group of people that simply didn't want to get injection, either because of needle phobia or maybe more often so the needle taboo. That group of people doesn't need to wait anymore. They have right now the option of coming onto Wegovy pill, our pill, that has very similar efficacy, actually at 16.6% if you take the product, as the injectable version of it has had. So this is really an exciting moment, and in the first few weeks that we have launched this, so 5 weeks into it now, the numbers are very, very strong. We have 246,000 individuals on the pill right now.
Wow.
So that's actually really, really good, and one of perhaps the best pharma launches that I'm aware of.
Yeah, well, even though you had this very strong showing, investors reacted negatively. I mean, you reported what, 6% growth in sales, 2% diluted earnings growth in 2025, and then you guided to a 5% to 13% decline in adjusted sales. I know this is a very competitive market. Eli Lilly has been very dominant with its Mounjaro and Zepbound. So what do you think the investor reaction was about?
let's a little bit unpack that. I think the pill is doing incredibly well. It starts with 0 sales, of course, and a future that is very, very bright, hopefully. On the injectable front, which is a large part of our business, we had to give price concessions because of the negotiations with the Trump administration, which I think was the right thing to do, frankly speaking, but also in order to provide more access to people. But that basically has meant that short term, and we have said 2026 will be a very difficult year because of that, you devalue your existing business, which is a very large business, in the hope that these price decreases are actually investment for the future. That over a period of time, many people that were not able to get your product yesterday will be able to afford it tomorrow. And with that, of course, while we have quite a bit of a headwind today, we'll have a lot of tailwind in years to come. So that's why we have done it. We have to explain that to the investors to be patient. We also tell them that this is a year while you see the growth on the numbers. I see a lot of growth in the volumes of products sold, in number of the patients that are coming into our medications, and of course also a massive growth of our R&D so we can come with the next generations of these products soon. So it's a mixed year for Novo, depending on which lens you look at it.
It's very good analysis there. So in other words, what you're saying is once you acclimate to these lower prices and these agreements that you've done with the Trump administration, based on what you're seeing in terms of R&D, the future beyond that, you think the growth returns to what? What's an acceptable growth number for you when you talk about sales in the coming 5 years?
My job, of course, is to, instead of come with a growth number, to try and capture as many patients that need these products on our products. My job is also to outperform our competitors and do better than the rest of them, because I strongly believe that we have the right pipeline, the right scaling, and the right people to get there, and the best products. And then at the end of the day, we'll count the numbers and see what that percentage looks like.
Well, we're watching a market that is increasingly competitive, right? So
Right.
You've got Eli Lilly there with its versions, and then you've got Pfizer entering the market. We had Albert Bourla on recently on his acquisition of Metsera. So what can you say about the competitive landscape?
I can say that, of course, we are the one who came to this market making it quite popular. We have to expect the fact that when it gets popular, others get excited. But maybe the difference between Novo Nordisk and some of the other peers is that we're here to stay for a very, very long time for these patients. We're not in and out just because right now it's popular. To do that, we basically segmented obesity market into various different segments. To you and I, this is just called obesity. But actually, in reality, when you double click on that, there are different people with various different needs in these markets. There are ones who have, they have to get a liver transplant because of fatty liver. There are those who need to lose a couple of kilos to get into a wedding dress. These are very different segments, maybe different needs and different products that are going to cater to them. At Novo Nordisk, we think about these billion people already today. We try to build a pipeline how to go separately, segmenting and targeting these individuals, and basically make a business out of this that is very, very long. Many of our peers are coming in with a single asset or two, trying to make basically, some financial gains, and then they'll see what happens tomorrow. For us, this is core to our business, and we're here to stay.
Well, this is a powerful market, and you've outlined that very well. Thank you for that. Let me get your take, though, on why this is so popular, because you're seeing customers not just look to take the pill, get the injection just to lose weight, but we've seen reports, medical journals that have talked about the impact on heart disease, Alzheimer's, and other ailments. So what can you tell us about that in terms of the efficacy of these drugs to things beyond obesity and diabetes?
It's a fantastic question. And actually, you use the word beyond. Our first campaign was Beyond Weight. That was the tagline, because we actually felt weight is important, but it's not the most important thing. Not many people die from obesity. You die from the comorbidities of obesity. And if you start treating actually obesity today, you save yourself a lot of issues in the future. Heart, kidney, liver. You mentioned maybe Alzheimer's. You could argue in due course, maybe this is proven to actually add to your life, health and longevity. So we are at the very beginning of the science and understanding everything that these molecules are able to do. But it is really exciting to see the breadth of the health that is going to become better by using some of these drugs.
Yeah, it certainly is. It really is. Now, Mike, the FDA has flagged your new Wegovy pill ad, calling it misleading, saying that it overstates the benefits and improperly presents risk information, urging the company to fix or pull the ad immediately. What are you responding?
Yeah, this relates to, I think, a TV ad that we have been running since the beginning of the launch. We take all these letters seriously. It's not a warning letter. It's an untitled letter. But of course, one that we will equally take serious and are trying to put our response together and go back to FDA. We strongly believe that a balanced advertisement is necessary and a responsible approach from every pharmaceutical, and we of course will work closely with FDA to address the letter.
Are you expecting to change the ad?
We're going to have to discuss it with them. I believe actually that the ad has many good parts about it, and we will try to see what the concerns exactly are and why, and how we can come to a conclusion that is balanced.
What do you want to tell us about market share? I mean, I mentioned the competitive landscape. You issued what many said was weaker than expected 2026 outlook, saying that sales could fall up to 13% this year because of the lower prices. We talked about that, and the intensifying competition. Does that mean you're losing market share? What do you want to say in terms of market share right now?
We have been losing market share to our competitor, and if you think why exactly is that, I think the market has created a perception, and I would say our competitor has done a great job at talking to that Novo Nordisk brought the first generations of these products. It was called Saxenda. It had 5% weight loss. Novo Nordisk brought the second generations of these products with Ozempic and Wegovy at 15-16% weight loss. But Novo Nordisk lost to Eli Lilly on the third and the best and the most efficacious product right now, Mounjaro and Zepbound, at 20-21% weight loss. Where it gets all lost in translation, in my humble opinion, is that medicine, higher the dose, the more efficacious it is. Right now, we have our highest dose of Wegovy at 2.4, giving you 15-16% weight loss. They have 15 milligram of tirzepatide, which is Zepbound and Mounjaro, and that gives 21%. We have done clinical trials, and we're about to launch a new product that is actually having Wegovy in a higher dose, 7.2 milligram, that shows that the efficacy of this is exactly the same, very similar at 20.7 or 21% weight loss. Once we do that, I think the market will have a really good chance and a choice to see that now you have two products at very similar efficacy. One of them gives you heart, kidney, and liver protection. The other one has not shown to the same level, the same things. And then they can make a choice where to go. I am hopeful that this will help our market share after that launch of Wegovy high dose.
Is it fair to say that the growth is bigger on international markets right now, or is it the U.S.?
Well,
how do you break that down?
Currently, Novo Nordisk has the most number of people in the world that are using GLP-1s compared to our competitor. But they're growing faster, and they're doing a very good job, I have to say. So it's our job right now to really make sure, both internationally as well as in U.S., we're able to compete. I think we have the right products. I think we have our messages now in place. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to do a better job. Given
the backdrop of competitiveness and the lower price and the negotiations with the Trump administration, will you need to focus more on cost cuts? I know you had some senior management changes. What are you doing in terms of keeping costs in place right now?
We unfortunately had to say goodbye to 9,000 individuals last year. This was the single largest layoffs in the Danish corporate history. So the reason we did this was really to make sure that we have cost discipline, making sure in areas where we need to continue to invest. That's R&D, that's commercializations of our products, that's manufacturing. We basically have enough money to do so. So on the other hand, of course, means there are a number of other places where we could do a little bit less right now, while we are, of course, accelerating our research and development, as an example. And we will play that game, and hopefully, we'll be able to deliver financial results that are acceptable to our investors, while, of course, really show that we're progressing and growing.
Right. Of course, the patients are most important, I know, because, the Trump Rx is not going away, right? The president is focused on getting healthcare costs down, and the White House launched the Trump Rx, this direct-to-customer platform aimed at lowering drug prices by directing patients to discounted offerings from drug makers. Novo Nordisk, among the first companies to participate in that, offering cash pay discounts on Ozempic and Wegovy. What about that? Tell me the difference of getting the prescription from your doctor, going the traditional way, as opposed to going direct to the Trump Rx website.
First of all, I want to say that we have been incredibly thankful to the administration and the negotiation that took place. Our company is suffering right now this year on its share price, on its growth rates, and in many ways, many of our investors have been dissatisfied with the price concessions that we gave. But I think it was the right thing to do.
The patients are happy.
The patients are happy, and I think actually the Trump administration allowed us to really think longer term and make sure that we think not beyond this quarter or this year and go much, much further in. It is really, really important to realize that when today you go to Trump Rx or any of the other telehealth providers, you have a just easier time being able to source one of these medications, still going through a physician, still going through basically all the prescription needs that you need, but it allows you to find a medication at really affordable prices, right. I would say today. And this is something that many have been begging for, waiting for, even when they had insurance through the commercial channels. There were so many obstacles placed upon them that simply it was theoretical to get the medications, but not realistic. Today, that realism is there.
Yeah, Mike, I got to talk to you about regulation for a minute. What do you want to see out of the Trump administration to enable further growth, putting the pricing in the Trump Rx aside? Because when you look at the regulatory framework in Europe, I don't know if you saw the Mario Monti research, but I love this piece of research that the former Prime Minister of Italy put out. And basically what he looked at is the fact that when you look at the market capitalizations in the United States, we've got companies here that are trading at almost $5 trillion in market value. NVIDIA hit $5 trillion. You get 5 or 6 companies right now trading at $1 trillion. In Europe, I believe it's your company, Novo, that is the largest market value in Europe. And what's your market value?
It's 250,000.
250 billion, right? Versus $1 trillion plus in the United States. Is that about regulation in Europe, that they cannot produce a $1 trillion company the way the U.S. can?
I think it's a combination of things. Of course, you know, deregulations in Europe is something that many companies are pushing for and discussing with the European Union, and I think it's something that we can look into U.S. and learn a bit about. In U.S. also there is a risk appetite that right now does not exist in Europe, frankly speaking. You have a great idea here, you go to a venture capital and you get funding for it, and you start exploring, and some of those ideas become the next Googles and the next Ubers. And in Europe, that risk appetite initially is simply just right now not there. So as a result, if you're a European clever person with a great idea, what do? You get on a plane and you come on this side of the Atlantic and try to get sourced here. And when you're successful, you place your company in this part of the world. I think Europe right now has to realize that if they don't do something, they will continue being squeezed from Americans on one side and Chinese on the other side, basically. And that's a picture that we do not want to have as a European in Europe. So we're looking into how the U.S. has created this atmosphere and see what we can learn, while stay, of course, European and true to the continent that we are from.
Yeah, it's very important. All right, final question, Mike. What do you want to leave us with in terms of the growth story, in terms of your plans for Novo in the coming 5 years, and what's in the pipeline?
So we in Novo Nordisk take a few things and do it really, really well. We are not Pfizer, GSK, BMS, or many of the other companies that are actually very good at diversifications. Novo's history, 100-year history, has been around, take 2, 3 things, go deep in, care about the patients within those areas, and try to be the best in the world. My job is to focus the company around diabetes and obesity. There's more than 1 billion people suffering from these conditions, and when you add overweight to it, then 2 billion people are there. We would like to be the voice of these individuals. We would like to be the ones that actually, like we have shown with our GLP-1s, innovate and go beyond everyone else. When others are afraid to go in that dark tunnel, we're going to be there. And then we hope that actually we get, you know, to stay there for a long time to come and show growth and be a successful financial institute on top of that.
Very good. Mike, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
We'll be watching the story of Novo Nordisk. Mike Doustdar joining us.